What's up, everybody? It's Soren Baker here on Unique Access Entertainment. As always, please hit that subscribe button. It's right down there and it's free. That enables us to keep coming to y'all as often as possible with as many interviews as possible. So please hit that subscribe button, like our content, talk about it, be about it, share, do everything you can to get the word out. We appreciate your support. And if you haven't already, you can also join as a member to Unique Access. So please do that. That just helps us on every different level. So please do those. Now, today, we have the honor and the privilege of being joined by Von P. Thank you so much for coming through, sir.
Happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yes, yes. So Von P's got so much music, very prolific man. We're going to focus on his solo material today because it's an interview with him. But Von P, for you, coming off of Tanya Morgan, different things you were doing, why did you go solo and why did you do it at the time you did?
When Tanya Morgan first started, it was because, funny enough, when I was working on my first demo, my early demos, I met Don Will on the internet on okplayer.com. And Don Will was one of the first people that was like my soundboard for these demos I was making, trying to figure out my voice and find what I was doing. And we just have so much in common sonically. He was like I call him my music soulmate, and not music soul child, music soulmate. And so solo just got put to the side, and I was like, we need to do this group thing, and we got with Elias as well. Shout out to Elias, and we started running with Tanya Morgan. But the whole time, we looked at ourselves as a put together group. But the world, we didn't realize that the world wouldn't know that. So when it came time to go solo, it was just because we never stopped making music by ourselves anyway, where some people always made music together. We never stopped making music alone. So we started to try to plan how we can do music separately. And the whole time I had these little mixtapes here and there. I did one called Grand Vanier. I did this little compilation called The Beat Maker. That's how I met a lot of the artists that I still work with to this day. That's how I met Fonte and, just like the whole Justice League crew. I met a lot of them through making this Beat Maker project. My crew, the Legendary, met a lot of them through that. And throughout the years, we recorded the first Tanya Morgan album that came out was Moonlighting, 2006. But at that time, it's like, okay, well, we got to start figuring out how we can get back to our like separate thought and idea that we need to do alone. Almost like we were looking at ourselves like how, okay, when am I going to get my standalone movie, like the Avengers? And I guess the first official one was P's Gotta Have It in 2010. And it was just time because I was like, I can't tell this story within the group. And I have to figure out who I am outside of the group now that I have began to come of age as an artist within this group. Now, who was I before this group and who am I today? And even to this point, excuse me, even to this point today, when I do solo music today, I still refer to, okay, where did I leave off with this kid? I still look at it like that. So to answer the question, whoever I was right before, Von C's with the foreign exchange and all of that, and Moonlighting, whoever that kid was sitting on the project steps with his friends, eating chicken wings and French fries before Tanya Morgan. And that's why my stuff has been so New York centric, Brooklyn centric solo, even more, because I'm still referring to that kid and who he is today and who I am today. So I guess to answer the question, it was just, I decided to go solo because we started out solo, but I had to find myself again outside of the group. Okay. So that was P's Gotta Have It in 2010.
Yeah. And on P's Gotta Have It, Good Life, one song stood out to me because of how short it was. And this album came out in 2010. And as we have progressed time-wise, so many more people have been making, of course, before this, people made short songs, but you starting then and continuing till, Dirty Deacon even, have had a lot of really short songs that are less than 2 minutes. That's become much more standard in the industry, different types of things. But for you, why so long ago was that something that you started implementing into your material with Good Life in particular?
Good Life. Well, shout out to Aon. He produced that. That's my man. Aon, producer from Philadelphia and photographer also. He produced most of P's Gotta Have It, and that track was one that he had sent me one day, and I had. It's funny enough because P's Gotta Have It. For those that don't know, it's an album. It's based on. It's inspired by my high school. I found my high school journal when I was moving out of my mom's apartment, moving out of my mom's house, and I found my old high school journal. And I just started reading it and knowing where my career was at the time and where I thought it was going to be and who I thought I was going to be. Good Life was I so casually written out, I'm gonna have a couple of platinum albums. Hopefully, I have a room big enough for my plaques. And I was saying this realistically, when I was 16. I don't want to get too big. I mean, a couple platinum albums. And I was reading it, cracking up and just dying laughing because I'm like, man, if you only knew you're an underground rapper, you're not Puffy, you know what I mean? At least at the time. You're not Puff Daddy, you're not about to be Nelly or whoever. You are gonna make boom bap music. You're not going 30 times platinum. But I had this idea in this journal entry, and I said, I'm gonna make this a song. So I just started when I grow up, enough plans to blow up, blah, blah, blah. And it was all just based on this journal entry, but I didn't want to make it like I was attempting to make a real, a flashy song for real, just taking time out to put together a single where I'm talking about I'm being flashy. So I wanted it to still be who I was at the core, especially at the time. Still just a knocking boom bap beat, chopped up sample. And I'm telling you how much money I got and how fly I am and how Jada Pinkett is gonna want me and all this kind of stuff. And because it was a journal entry, I was like, okay, I knocked it out in this one verse. And I don't want to come up with a hook because the hook is gonna have to be something flashy too. And then it would have just taken away from what was supposed to be the irony of the song. So I think it just fit it fit to be this 1.5 minute thing that I'm just an idea I'm shooting off.
Okay. And thinking back to that time when you were writing this journal, what made you think, or who were you looking to be like, oh, this is the platinum dude I'll be able to kind of be like in order to sell that 1 million records a few times? What was going on in your mind at the time?
The Hitmen, Puffy and the Hitmen. I looked at I was looking at Nasheem Merrick, D.O.C, Angeletti, and I was like, man, these guys, they make boom bap records. I mean, I don't know if I was calling it that at the time because more hip hop. I felt like it was getting divided at the time, but it still was you had your Primo records on Top 10 radio right next to your, Mariah Carey record or whatever. And I was listening to a lot of Hot 97 and all of that. So I was like, you can do both. You can have Kick in the Door and you can have Sky's the Limit or whatever. And you can have Dear Mama and How Do You Want It or whatever. And looking at Nas's second album with Track Masters, and I was like, you can make hard stuff and still go platinum. So I was like, yo, I'm gonna be this platinum artist. I'm gonna be like, when I gotta make a single, my single is gonna sound like Victory, Biggie. Just I didn't have a demo. I didn't have anything at the time. I was trying to DJ. I was a teenage DJ, and I just knew I should have known because I loved the Uma more than anybody. But then I guess even then I still was like, well, Running is a single. I can be Far Side Running. That's a hit song. And I just wasn't thinking the sound wasn't conducive to selling. I just knew it sounds good, it's gonna sell. And I was concerned with that. Even I'll admit, even when Tanya Morgan came out, if you told me We Be went platinum, I'd be like, yeah, because it's dope. So yeah, it went platinum. But I wasn't like, no, it didn't, because it sounds like this. It's too many words and it's not a real chorus. And like now you know the formula. But at the time, I still was naive, like, hey, it just got to be dope. It don't matter what's going on. If it's dope, everybody wants it.
Well, it's funny you mentioned this crazy juxtaposition, because on Peace Gotta Have It, one of my favorite songs is New Pair. And on there, you got the Summertime, DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince, but then you also reference the D.O.C. So I always thought that was a interesting, refreshing, strange, however you want to look at it, combination, because those two artists are clearly not very similar in many, or really anyway. So do you remember back in the day why you guys wanted to use that sample from Summertime, and then you writing wanted to use D.O.C.?
For me, it's just, I'm just pulling from all influences, man. I wanted to pull from all everything that I've been inspired by growing up with that project, because I was like, this is my first real solo album, and I want you to hear where I get it from. Like, I want you to hear where I get it from. I want you to be able to listen to it. I wanted to wear my influences on my sleeve even more on that record, and on that album in general, while still finding who I was. So like, that's where it comes from D.O.C. to just there's so many like little references on that album that I just tried to jam in there, because I'm pulling from, by the time that album came out, I was kind of past it in terms of like the inspiration for it. Cause I was like, going in like 27, 28. I went around, like 28, 29 when I was finishing up that album. And I was like, I still have this high school concept that I have to finish. So I have to be in this high school mode. But then I also want to pull from like when I first fell in love with it. So I want to pull from late 80s, early 90s. So I was just trying to do like this, just a mashup of like all my influences, and kind of like, but not so much sample them, but refer to them,
Okay. Got it.
And in some cases sample them.
Yes, as you did on New Pair.
In the beginning, hip-hop was ruled by the East Coast. Then the West Coast rose to prominence thanks to gangster rap.
Straight out of Compton, crazy motherfucker named Ice Cube.
Hip-hop changed the world. Gangster rap changed the narrative.
I'm representing for the gangsters all across the world.
And then changed the world again.
Cause I'll come and take your life away.
The history of gangster rap features unheard stories, unseen photos and documents, all with exclusive interviews from the founders and players who shaped gangster rap.
I think a real gangster rapper has to scare you a little bit.
The history of gangster rap, written by veteran rap journalist Soren Baker. In stores now.
Yo, what up? This is DJ Quick. Be sure to pick up my homeboy Soren Baker's book, The History of Gangster Rap, if you really want to know what we do.